This series, Up for the Cup, will focus on the 17 London clubs who currently play in the top 5 tiers of English football and their histories in the FA Cup. This episode will focus on West Ham United and their record in the FA Cup. The first FA Cup final at Wembley between Bolton Wanderers and West Ham United is known as the White Horse Final. This was also West Ham's first FA Cup final. The fans eagerly anticipated this historic day, and crowds spilled over onto the pitch as terraces were full. The estimates on the attendance figures were understandably hard to gather. However, the range was from 240,000 and exceeding 300,000. It was staggering that the match went ahead, especially with the number of spectators inside the stadium that were on the pitch. Mounted police, which included Police Constable George Scory and his white horse Billy, gradually forced the crowds back to the sides of the field of play. The kick-off was only delayed by 45 minutes. In honour of Billy, the footbridge outside the new Wembley Stadium has been named the White Horse Bridge. The official attendance is often quoted as 126,047. The match saw a 2-0 victory for Bolton Wanderers, with David Jack scoring the first ever goal at Wembley Stadium. Although the Hammers lost, the game captivated the imagination of the local community. As the West Ham team neared the River Lee, their borough boundary, they switched to a specially organised tramcar, hired by the Borough Council. As well as the team, the tramcar also carried a band from the Metropolitan Police. Its illuminated features included the club badge of crossed irons on the front of the tram, together with the motto, "Well done, Hammers." Trams toured the streets of West and East Ham, watched by thousands of people who packed the streets to greet the returning team and celebrate the occasion. On the Sunday, there was another parade, attended by even larger numbers of people, and the team then attended a service at the East Ham Congregational Church. West Ham would have to wait 41 years for their next FA Cup final appearance, which would be the first time the Irons lifted the FA Cup. The 83rd FA Cup final would see the Hammers take on Preston North End in front of over 90,000 at Wembley Stadium. Albert Holden put Preston in front after 10 minutes. However, a minute later, John Sisson squared things for West Ham. 5 minutes before the interval, Alexander Dawson put Preston back into the lead. Jeff Hurst levelled the score at 2-2 on the 52nd minute of play, and with moments remaining of the game, Ronald Boyce netted the winner for the Hammers. 1964 was the start of things to come for Bobby Moore, who was also named England captain the same year, as well as leading West Ham to European glory a year later in 1965 with the triumphant European Cup Winners' Cup win, then in 1966 lifting the World Cup for England. There'll be another video down the line on Bobby Moore. West Ham's second FA Cup trophy was in the 1975 final against Fulham. This was an emotional game which saw Bobby Moore in Fulham colours playing against his old club, and would also be Moore's last Wembley appearance, where he had lifted the FA Cup, European Cup Winners' Cup and World Cup. Goals in the 60th and 64th minutes from Alan Taylor gave West Ham a 2-0 victory in front of over 100,000 fans at Wembley. Taylor had scored 2 goals each in the quarter-final and semi-final wins over Arsenal and Ipswich Town respectively, while the Hammers had previously defeated Southampton, Swindon Town after a replay, and Queen's Park Rangers on their way to Wembley. At full-time, Billy Bonds was among the West Ham players to embrace their friend and former teammate Moore before climbing the famous steps to the Royal Box to lift the famous old trophy, to the delight of the Claret and Blue Army in the stands. The following day, an open-top bus carried the heroes through the streets of Newham, cheered on by hundreds of thousands of fans, bringing an unforgettable weekend to a fitting end. West Ham's third and most recent FA Cup trophy lift came in the 1980 Cup final. In the 99th Cup final, the Hammers came up against Arsenal, who were the then holders of the competition, as well as making their third consecutive Cup final appearance after losing the 1978 final to Ipswich Town and beating Manchester United in the 1979 final. Trevor Brooking scored the solitary goal of the game in the 13th minute with a header. Brooking, Frank Lampard Sr. and captain Billy Bonds collected their second FA Cup winners' medals. Bonds collected the trophy from the Duchess of Kent and held aloft towards the jubilant West Ham faithful to a chorus of cheers and the club's anthem of "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles." Out of all of the cup final victories, perhaps one of the most satisfying, as at the time West Ham were in the second tier, finishing in 7th place in the old Division 2, and Arsenal finished 4th in the top flight. West Ham would have to wait 26 years for their next FA Cup final appearance when they played Liverpool in the 2006 final at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Remembered as the Gerrard final in front of over 71,000 fans, West Ham took the lead when Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher scored an own goal after 21 minutes, and 7 minutes later the Hammers were in dreamland as Dean Ashton put them 2-0 up. However, in the 32nd minute, Djibril Cissé pulled one back for Liverpool. 9 minutes into the second half, Steven Gerrard scored the equaliser. However, there was another twist to the game, as Paul Konchesky played a ball into the Liverpool penalty area, only to see it sail over goalkeeper Reina and into the back of the net. Whether Konchesky meant it didn't matter. There was more drama to come in injury time, as Steven Gerrard scored a screamer from over 30 yards, netting in the bottom left-hand corner, making it 3-3. The game went into extra time and West Ham's hearts were broken, losing 3-1 on penalties. In my lifetime, being a neutral as well, for me it was one of the greatest cup finals, and it most certainly put the FA Cup final back on the map. I always remember that game along with John Motson's commentary. Out of the London clubs who have won the FA Cup, West Ham are in 4th place with a total FA Cup trophy haul of 3 and have appeared in 5 finals. After their recent European runs, being runners-up in the Europa League in 2022 and winning the Europa Conference League in 2023, perhaps with their European journey, a new era is on the horizon, with West Ham becoming a domestic cup team. Many thanks for watching. Let me know of your FA Cup memories in the comments. Please like, share and subscribe. Stay healthy and safe. See you on the next Up for the Cup episode.